The SPCA has just received a dog with some serious injuries, and the manner of how it received them has sent shockwaves through the village.
This dog came into us about a week ago as a stray with a badly injured eye. Once our vets examined her, they found that she'd been shot with an air rifle and she had a number of pellets embedded around her eye and around her head. We've sought specialist opinion from an eye surgeon, and there's nothing that can be done to save the eye, so unfortunately she's going to have that eye removed. We've held her a week hoping that an owner would come looking for her, and that hasn't occurred, so now we're going to go ahead and do the surgery and look for a new home for her.
With such a horrific case, it was decided to get the media on board to raise some awareness and hopefully find the people responsible, as well as asking the public for donations to help with the surgery and rehabilitation costs.
We did a media release and I did a couple of radio interviews, and since then we've had quite a lot of people ringing in or writing in to us wanting to help with the costs of the operation, and our first cheque this morning came in for $300.
Thanks to some very generous donations from the public, the SPCA can start the surgery process, and senior vet Peter McQueen has been handed the job.
What's happened is the dog was shot with an air rifle, and one of the pellets actually penetrated the cornea went through the front of the eye, and what's happened is part of the inside of the eye has actually prolapsed through the hole, and it's also lost fluid, so the eye is now actually shrunk down. It's basically irretrievable.
An X-ray is taken and there's an unpleasant discovery.
There's an air rifle pellet still embedded. The pellet is sitting in the bottom of the orbit.
Time to operate, and though removing the eye sounds extreme, it is the best thing for the dog.
There was the eye injury itself, but there were 2 other pellets embedded right next to the eye, and it had other pellets, so I can't imagine a dog would sit still while someone reloaded an air rifle and shot it again, which suggests the dog, was obviously unable to escape. So whether it was tied or secured, and unless you were a very good shot with an air rifle to get 3 bullets, 3 slugs that close together, I imagine you'd have to be fairly close. So immediate concern is obviously the dog, but the other concern is what the people who did this are going to go on to do later in life, because the association with violence towards animals and violence towards people, the linkage is so strong.
The operation is long and needs a delicate hand, but eventually it's over.
That has gone much better than expected, really. The bullet was still sitting in the eye and it's come out cleanly. We don't have too much hemorrhage at all.
All that's required now is a stitch-up. Then it's a matter of time to see if she recovers from surgery. Inspector Vicky Border has been called to a Weymouth property in South Auckland where a stray turtle has turned up.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
So this is the turtle you found?
Yeah.
Did you find it? Where did you find it?
There are over 300 species of turtles in the world, and many have become popular pets, but they can easily die from neglect or improper care.
It's a red-eared turtle. They're quite common. I don't have a great knowledge of turtles, but the shell's quite scratched, so I'm just going to take it to Clarice at Turtle Haven in Papakura, and she'll be able to tell us how old it is, what sort of condition it's in, and give it a good going over. I'm just going to put it in a cat carry cage. I'm not going to worry about putting any water. They don't need to travel in water. I'm just going to put it on a towel so it doesn't slip and slide around, and take it to Clarice.
In Papakura, there's a rehabilitation centre for turtles called Turtle Haven, run by SPCA volunteer Clarice Ford.
Hi, Clarice.
Hi, what you got? Oh, a young girl.
It's found in Weymouth. A little girl found it just sitting on her doorstep.
Probably about 4 or 5, but it's quite hard to tell. What people do is leave them in small tanks and they start to deform. She's just starting to deform, so her tank was just getting too small for her. But she's still quite bright in her colour, so she's only a young one, aren't you? Little young face. Shell's nice and hard. Oh, we've got an infection in shell rot. That's okay. We can fix it up with iodine. She's quite skinny. Normally they're going to get their head back to there. It's okay. Should we take her through with the big one?
Yep.
Normally I weigh them and measure them when they come in, but it gives me an idea comparing her size to a healthy turtle. So she's 18 centimetres, so she should be about 8 kilo. and she's not. She's 800 grams, so she's 200 grams underweight. 90% of them they're underweight and the shell's soft or shell rot. Normally I would treat this, but because she's stressed, I'll put her in the pond and I'll get her out this evening and try to dig out some of the shell rot. It's just starting, the pink's just starting. Their shells are quite fragile. While they're walking along the roads and scratch it, they get quite septic. So you think it'd be nice and hard, but so people put rocks and things for them to climb, and just a little scratch will cause an infection.
Clarice has a lot of experience looking after these interesting creatures. At any one time, she houses 20 to 25 turtles, so there'll be plenty of company.
Show you the difference between their weight. Can you see where Ninja is in here? Mm-hmm. And the difference in there?
Oh, okay.
So that's what a healthy turtle looks like. Ninja's 12, but Ninja's not grown any bigger than a 5-year-old. She was left in a dry tank. Her owners put her in a paddling pool now and then. It actually took 6 months to get her to swim in the water. She still won't sleep in it, but she is swimming in it now.
So how long will it take to get this wee girl up to weight?
It'll probably take a couple of months of feeding her every day. The actual shell rot would probably come right in a couple of months, but every section peels off every year, and so it would take a few years for her to actually get down to the healthy shell, like Ninja's is. I'll put her in with Ninja, because she's like a big mother really, but she's the first here. And every new turtle I put in with her, because she just will hang out with them for a while. It's almost like introduce everybody. There you go. There you go. That's the idea.
At the SPCA clinic in Wellington, an extremely underweight dog has been brought in.
The person who's looking after him at the moment has brought him in. She's not the owner of the dog, but she's concerned that he's lost a lot of weight and is not himself. We're just a little bit concerned at how underweight he is, so I want to gather all the information that we can now, if anything comes of it, with regards to an owner being irresponsible with feeding or anything. We're just going to take some photos.
The dog named Mace may be ill, but if he's not and it's a case of irresponsible care, a prosecution could result, and these photos used in evidence. This is not the first time Mace has turned up here.
He originally came in about 3 weeks ago, kind of for vague symptoms. He didn't have anything specific wrong with him. He was starting to lose weight, but nowhere near this condition. Nothing really stood out on physical exam. The owner was given systematic treatment, sent home, told to come back in 24 hours. This is 3 weeks later. The first thing you notice, obviously, is that his head is a lot bigger than the rest of his body because he has nothing left as far as muscles and body fat is concerned. All you see is kind of a big head and then a real skinny body. You can see all his ribs. He's just emaciated at this point. And whether there's something going on internally or whether he's been wasting away for months and nobody's noticed, it's hard to say right now.
A blood sample will be sent to the lab for testing. Hopefully the results will reveal whether Mace is suffering from an illness or ill treatment.
Good boy.
Back in Auckland at the SPCA headquarters, an unusual Angora rabbit has been handed in that shows obvious signs of irresponsible care.
The problem with this is he is so matted. About half of this is the rabbit and the other half is terrible, terrible mats. And it's really bad, not only that he's lost from his house, but people get these Angora rabbits and fluffy cats and fluffy dogs and they sort of think they're like self-cleaning. But they're not. You really have to take care of them, brush them, and groom them. Pretty much all of this around his face is all one giant mat, and this rabbit can't even walk because this entire back from my thumbs, this is a giant mat. I mean, we can't even tell what sex this rabbit is. He's so matted. Not only is it uncomfortable to have knots in your hair, they actually can get so bad that they twist down to the skin and actually cause the skin to die and get big sores.
Cutting the matted fur off the rabbit will need to be done with great care.
Rabbit skin is just like chicken skin. It's really, really thin. And if you shave it too closely or try to cut it, the skin tears very, very easily.
Once the experienced staff at the SPCA have trimmed the rabbit, he'll be held for 7 days of what is called stray time. If after that time the owners haven't come forward to claim him, there's a chance he will go to a new home.
The finders said they might want to adopt him, so we're going to clean him up, but we'll de-sex him and then we could adopt him out.
The dog that had to have its eye removed has been named Wasowski, after the Monsters Inc. character. she's successfully come through surgery, and after a few days in recovery, she could soon be sitting in the adoption area. Perfect timing, as her story is starting to get media attention.
The media story and photo appeared in the local courier yesterday, and since then we've had quite a few phone inquiries just asking how Wasowski is. It's also generated a lot more donations, and I think at last count the donation fund for her surgery and recovery and everything was just over $1,000, which is absolutely fantastic. So now we're just waiting that hopefully her photo and everything will appeal to someone, and they might want to come out and adopt her. She should be in the adoption area early next week. We hope that as a result of the publicity someone might fall in love with her and come and get her.
With her eye healing nicely, it's time for Wasowski to be put into the adoption kennels and hopefully become a much-loved member of a family who will give her the quality of life she so desires and deserves. Back at Turtle Haven, a rehabilitation home for turtles, Clarice Ford has spent 5 weeks looking after the 4-year-old turtle that was found on a little girl's doorstep. Clarice has called her Poppet.
Poppet has started putting on some weight. The infection she had at the bottom of the shell's all cleaned up with iodine. She's much stronger. She's walking around on the ground. She's very social. Most turtles are very social. And she's been swimming and playing with the other turtles in the afternoon. She's come out of a shell, literally. She used to just stay there, but now she gets out, she walks around the garden, she sunbathes. So she's quite confident now. So she's ready to go to a new home.
But what sort of home should a turtle go to?
I just don't rehome them anywhere, because I mean they've come from a rough time, so I prefer them to go to an outdoor pond and fenced-in garden, and somewhere where the owners are going to pick them up and make a fuss.
And lucky for Poppet, the perfect people turn up on Clarice's doorstep, wanting to adopt 2 turtles as friends for the one they already have at their home in the Bay of Islands.
I'll give you all the information you need.
Oh, thanks for that.
Okay.
We appreciate it.
And I'll ring you and make sure they're settled in okay for a while. Okay. I like to follow them up and see how they're going.
If you get up that way, come and see us.
Yes, that would be
She's in a
nice.
huge great enclosure about the size of your house and your garden together.
It sounds like a paradise for turtles. Thank you. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye. I get quite attached to them, particularly if they've been sick and they've been staying inside with me. But I've been really fortunate to find some really neat homes. People like this who are just going to make lovely pet owners and care for them, just like they should have been to start with. Bye.
In the Pocono area, SPCA Inspector David Lloyd Barker is on his way to a property that advertises horse tricks.
We're going to a property in the Mangatafri. We've had a complaint of up to 20 horses which may possibly be suffering from mud fever and or be lame. So we're going to go down and have a look and see what the owners have to say for themselves.
The Appaloosa horses are kept on a farm, and as they are likely to be housed in paddocks well away from the road, Dave will need help from the owner to find them.
Hello, I'm David from the SPCA. We've had a complaint from one of your guests about your horses, that some of them may be lame and that some of them may be suffering from mud fever. Can I see the horses? Are they around or are they all out at the moment?
No, they're up the back.
Right.
The owner is surprised by Dave's visit, but wastes no time getting on her quad bike to go and round up the horses. And it's not long before Dave spots them galloping down from the hills. Appaloosa horses are recognisable for their interesting spots and pale colours.
Is this all of them?
That's all of them, yeah. I've got 3 oldies up there.
Yeah.
Dave is able to get up close to the horses and check them out for signs of poor treatment or a skin infection called mud fever.
Perhaps one of them had been through the mud and had mud on their legs at the time, but they've got to go down to the water. I've never had anyone complain about it, and I can't see any mud fever there.
Yeah. No, they all look fine. So what have you got up in the field? You've got 3 older horses, yeah?
3 oldies, and they're in their 20s.
Right.
At the moment, of course, they're part-way through losing their coats, but they look the best when they've got all their summer coat. I have them up on the hills so that they're sure-footed, and calving at the moment, of course. I need the flat paddocks for the cows calving.
That's fine. Thanks for bringing them down.
That's all right. We know how to treat it.
All right, Barbara. Let me leave you my card, and if there's any issues, just give me a call.
Yes,
okay? All right?
Oh,
Take care.
Yeah.
Good to meet
Thank
you.
you.
So the complaint has turned out to have no foundation.
The horses looked in very good condition to me. It's probably a case of somebody having either no experience with horses and thinking they were thin, or alternatively somebody who's just had a bad experience, or perhaps they just had a sore backside. A fairly spurious complaint, but quite happy that the horses are in fine condition.
Back at base, the Angora rabbit, which was handed into the SPCA in a terrible state, is looking like a new rabbit.
It looks beautiful, and the hair's grown back so quickly, and all of this back here was just unbelievably bright red and raw, and this area was torn over here. But it's all nice and light and pink, and the fur's all growing back, and she seems to be a lot happier. She's a really sweet bunny.
And just as Jodie had hoped, the little rabbit has a potential new owner. Andrew Cook, who found the rabbit and handed her into the SPCA, has come forward and offered to adopt her.
Oh, Jodie, you got it back.
Yep, she's come back to you, mate.
But before he can take the rabbit home, Jodie needs to educate him on how to care for his new pet.
This is an Angora, this breed, and you can see this beautiful, fine, lovely fur that she has there. The only problem with the fur is that it can sometimes get into knots and get matted. So you just have to be really, really cognizant of the whole brushing thing. Because remember how she was before, she could get like that.
Like she had dreadlocks.
Oh yeah, exactly. It was so bad that her legs were actually like welded to her body. That's how bad it got.
So she couldn't really jump either.
She couldn't really move a lot.
She's obviously feeling a lot better.
She is.
The rehabilitated rabbit has a new home and a brighter future.
Home time.
At the SPCA clinic in Wellington, the lab results for Mace, the severely underweight dog, are back.
Basically, there's very little change on the blood work. Most of it is just an elevation of protein in the blood. Unfortunately, there's a possibility of cancer with that result, but it could also be inflammation. Hard to predict without further testing.
So Mace is brought back in by his owner Vanessa for another checkup. After his last visit, he was put on a special diet to get his weight up, but the result is not looking good.
24.1 to 24.2, yeah. He hasn't gained much.
No.
He hasn't gained much at all. Don't like the look of that. There's something new happening with him. If I pick up this foot and put it down like that, he can't flip it back over. What that means is he's not feeling that foot correctly. There's something major going on with his nerves in the back end there. Where we go from here is up to you. We can try to treat him still, give him pain medication, and see if he doesn't come right. But that's not a good sign that he's not having too much feeling in his back end. That's more indicative of cancer. This is not all just weakness because he's not eating enough. What's the other option? Do you think he's still enjoying himself? Do you think he's still? Okay.
Vanessa faces up to the inevitable decision to put Mace down.
Put him down. Now? We can. If you need time there. Okay. Okay. What we'll do is I'll give him a shot of pain medication. We'll bring him home. But he can't stay like this. So we don't want him to suffer.
I wasn't coming here to hear that. We were coming here to make him better. It's a little bit of a shock. He's really loving, he's really good with the kids. He's been a really good dog. Really good to have around.
Vanessa decides to take Mace home for 2 days so the family can say goodbye to their loved pet.
Let me give him this injection. This is just pain medication. Good boy. I wish there was more I could do for him, I really do. It's still difficult no matter how many times I watch a dog kind of deteriorate or watch a dog die or, you know, have to euthanize something because it's suffering. It never gets easier.
But there's happier news for Wasowski, the dog that was shot through the eye with an air rifle.
Wasowski has now recovered. She's had her eye stitches removed and her eye has nicely healed up now, as you can see. We've found her a home which is absolutely fantastic. She's going to 2 people that have moved over from the UK, and they're a lovely couple, so lucky for her, she has found a fantastic home.
3 days later, Wasowski has been renamed Lottie, meaning Little Beauty, and is roaming free and happy at her new home.
We were ready to adopt a dog and we saw Wasowski, as she was called, and read the story behind her and just fell in love with her. She's just perfect.
Yeah, we decided almost straight away, didn't we?
Yeah.
That she was a beautiful little girl and deserved a good home, so...
That's right.